Well, okay, we're live. So, you can see the mess that's in front of me, my computer and all the kefir and stuff that I've been making. Anyway, so I'll wait a couple seconds. I think a couple of people might join up. It's Monday night, and of course, where most of the population is, it's like late because it's 7 o'clock here, which adds 6 to the East Coast. But anyway, we'll see if there's anybody though. Too much fun, too many things going on. It's it's ridiculous. What do I want to talk about? Well, first things first, the reason why this is called No More Playlists is because little old me, me with like, what do I got? Like 1,700 subscribers. Nobody, like I don't have hardly any impact whatsoever, but I can no longer make playlists. And if you go look at my playlist, especially the Patrick Devine playlist, you'll notice all the videos have gone private or have been removed. Um, hmm. And I mean, really, that's how they don't want this information getting out. So the nice thing is, I watched every single one of those videos, and I'm in contact with a couple of the people that uploaded it, and I'm going to tell them to go to BitChute. So why waste your time over here uploading the video? That's why I just go live, and if I fuck up, I fuck up. Who cares? But why waste your time making a video and then making the audio and putting a background on it and all this other, and then they just delete it, right? And that's a time out of your life too, because some of those videos were an hour long, some of them were 2 hours long. So it takes a while to upload, and it takes a while, and YouTube just says, "Fuck you, well, we're deleting that." So take it over to BitChute, and that information needs to get back up because there's a lot of good stuff in those Patrick Devine videos. Holy crap! It'll wake you up. I have just started looking at all the different forums and stuff because I got a link to one of his forums. I'll put it below here. Actually, I'm not going to put it below here because then God knows they'll take it off. But actually, it's on the Wayback Machine. So we'll see. I'll try and figure that out. But the idea is, I cannot believe that was humans. That was not an algorithm. That was humans that went in there and deleted those videos and changed it so that everything works on my dash and all the other stuff, except I can't make playlists anymore. So, maybe see, and where I come from, that now I know I'm in the right place. Now I know I'm doing the right thing. And I noticed that the only videos that are up have mistakes in them, right? So let's see here. Some of you will know what this means, and some of you won't. I'll put the video below. Demand for lawful money. This is how you endorse a check. Per 12 USC. And the guy tries to say, oh, don't put the C in there. 411. Oh, 411. I understand that information. Anyway, that lets them know this. That's not a joke. That when you put that on the back of the check, that tells them something. And you're asking for lawful money, and you're actually going to be decreasing the deficit or the. Well, let's just put it this way. There's no money. There's no fucking money. So it turns out every time you deposit money into your K trust account, you actually raise the deficit. Every time you demand lawful money and you offset with credit, you lower it. It's hard to understand. I'll put a video. I'll put a clip. Actually, it's not hard to understand. They got you coming and going, slave. That K trust that has your social security number on it attached to it. That's the public side trust. It's not private. It's your dead man's trust with the 575, that's in Hawaii. What used to be 575 was the first 3 of the social security number, but with the social security number on it, the 123 dash 12 dash 1234. That is your account number. And then flip the thing over, and you'll get a letter which corresponds to one of the Federal Reserve banks. And then there'll be a red number down there in the bottom corner of your, on the back of the social security number, right? On the front, you get your pillars. right? A tree of knowledge, tree of life, and you sit in the middle and choose. And while you've got that thing, you've made a bad choice. But anyway, on the back of it, there is an account number. That's an interesting account number. Anyway, the idea is that that whole thing is set up for you, whether you like it or not, when you're pledged to the bankers, who are in serious shit right now, by the way. This is awesome. All right, let me try and explain you. Let me try and explain you what's happening here. I mean, Trump is evil genius. He is. He absolutely is. It's awesome. What they've done is he has basically, if you were paying attention, he nationalized the Federal Reserve and kind of merged them into the U.S. Treasury. Okay, not the de jure Treasury, the other Treasury. Okay, so then what he's having these guys do is buy up all the debt. Okay, and everybody's saying, oh my God, they buy all the debt. The Federal Reserve is going to own everything. No, the Federal Reserve is going to own debt. How are they going to pay the debt back? He's going to bankrupt the fucking Federal Reserve. This is the plan. This is part of the plan. This is not the whole plan, but he's going to fucking bankrupt these bankers. It's awesome. He's going to beat them at their own game. And again, it's not Trump. This plan has been in place on how we're going to beat these guys since the 1950s, and Eisenhower was when that first came about. If you know anybody in the intelligence community that dares speak about any of this, even in roundabout terms, they will tell you that this started back in the 50s and then really got into it in the 60s when they shot the fucking president in the head in broad daylight and made up all kind of crazy stories about it. Okay, there are men that took their oath seriously and realized what happened on that day. And the bad guys have been winning pretty freaking consistently ever since. And there have been many attempts to try and throw them over the years, if you were paying attention. And they just we're a step ahead. But and now it gets into fun conspiracy theory. Some interesting technology, Project Looking Glass, if you take a look at that, or Looking Glass technology. There's a technology that others, brotherhoods, may have known about. And if you were into certain stuff, Orion's Cube has been a thing. I've never seen Orion's Cube. I've heard about them, but I've never seen one. But supposedly this is a device that helps you, and it's technology. It's not magic. To us, it's magic. But whoever built this device, what it does is it takes, how do you explain it? It takes the subconscious mind. It takes a couple people to work this thing, at least two. So one person can, and you have to open up your third eye and all this other stuff. And what it is basically, because you are connected to everything else in the universe via your subconscious mind. You are, where do you end? Where does your consciousness end? Am I speaking to you from inside this, or is it out here? And it just comes through me. Because if you watch some movies or some documentaries, I can't take a scalpel and find you in there because you're not in there. That's not where it is. Your memories are not in there. It's this other thing. It's a field. Let's put it that way. We have no language for it because they certainly wouldn't give us a fucking language that could make this stuff clear. And if we have no language for it, we can't understand it. It's simple as that. And they didn't give us language for it. But anyway, you're not in there. So the idea is you are connected to everything else through everything else. All right. So somehow, by magic, this device is able to tap into that and see all the possibilities. And then if you have a trained mind, you can look into the future and the other person can see it. Okay, so this is Orion's Cube. To the best of this could be completely wrong, by the way. To the best of my understanding. All right, so the idea is that that technology was being used by the bad guys, and the Alliance, or the good guys, didn't have it. But now they have it, and they are able via, and not only that, a couple of other devices and some Tesla technology that allows you to do interesting things with time, because there isn't any time. There ain't no money. There is no time. Sure is a illusion that is persistent and pervasive, though, because I seem to remember a time when I didn't have little munchkins running around, and now I do, and they're like 15 years old. It's crazy. So it seems to me that there is time, but apparently there isn't any on the physical, metaphysical level or something. I don't know how it works, but they're able to dink with it. Let's put it that way. And the good guys are dinking with it, and you can see the result. The bad guys are on the run. Everything is going the alliance's way. Like this is too perfect. Every single they walk into every trap. I mean, it's just wild. They show themselves at every turn, and lately it's been getting more and more and more. Like this chloroquine or whatever it is, that malaria drug. There's a doctor that has like 699 patients. Out of those 699, 695 recovered, and only 4 of them needed to go to the hospital. These are coronavirus patients I'm talking about. Okay, so that's anecdotal evidence. That's a dangerous drug. Okay, well, you'll notice that the FDA just approved malaria drugs for use in treatment of coronavirus. They didn't. I don't think they named chloroquine, however you say it, specifically, but they definitely approved this experimental drug for use in treating the coronavirus. All right, game changer. And then there's other drugs that I'm reading. This penny stock that I was fooling around with, I didn't invest any money. It wasn't that clever. But anyway, I can't remember it, but it was just on Fox News and stuff like that. And the thing shot up like 90% today. It gained $1. I mean, like you look at the chart, and it's awesome. It's like, so I wouldn't invest now if I was you, because I think it's going to come back down just as fast. But they had some kind of treatment or drug or something, I don't know what it was, that if you give it to the patient ahead of time, they don't need ventilation. They're almost like, it's like 99% of people that take their thing don't need ventilation. So anyway, their stock shot up today. People are making money out of this, for damn sure. But the idea is, and now you're starting to see people pushing back, and they're getting a little pissed off. In Italy, for example, take the total death toll, right? The numbers inflated. In fact, you know what? Take that death toll and multiply by 2. I mean, fight it. And then divide by 60 million, which is the population. And look how many zeros you get, right? They're not even up to like, 0.1% yet, I don't think, of their population dying in this pandemic. I'm thinking pandemic is like 25% of the population. I'm thinking pandemic is like 10, at least 10, 15%. But we're not even up to 1% anywhere of the population. If you take the number of deaths, actually, if you take the number of cases, and then you take the, not just deaths, but cases, and divide. I was going to do a whole thing, but you know what, fuck it. You do your own math. But they're trying to tell you what the denominator is. The denominator is total cases, world population. The denominator is total cases in the United States population, right? Not some other denominator where they try to tell you of, the people that get it. Because the people that get it, turns out 95% of the people that have, quote unquote, serious complications are immunocompromised, or they're old, or they have, right? I mean, they fall into a very specific category. The general population, 95% have super mild symptoms. In fact, 50% or more, 50 to 85%, from what I've been reading, don't even know they have it. Asymptomatic carriers, and as high as 95% in some studies. And then there's the 5% that they took chemo because their doctors that were praising so greatly, gave them chemo, and because what they're trying to do. And there's a great video I'm going to put from Corbett Report, talking about the fact that what they're getting you ready for is when these doctors tell you to take vaccines, you better take vaccines, because their agendas are transparent and obvious to those that are paying attention. And he makes it clear. But the idea is that, they're probably going to come up with some kind of vaccine that, okay, so everybody take this vaccine for this coronavirus, and we'll see. I don't see how this is going to work. Because there are a lot of skeptics out there. But the idea is they want to make the doctors and nurses and so forth, they want to elevate them so that anybody like me or anybody else that says, maybe you shouldn't take that vaccine, and maybe vaccines can be dangerous and harmful and damage children, we're quacks and crazy people, because these great doctors and nurses that just got us out of this coronavirus, 0.0000. Oh, here's a fun thing. Fun fact. Get on your happy Google even and just type hospital layoffs. or hospitals laying off staff. Right? We have fucked this economy beyond your ability to understand how badly this economy is fucked. Now they're telling me that it's going to come roaring back. That it's going to come roaring. I mean, like we're just about to. It's going to come roaring back. That the scenario where the market goes up through, well, definitely through elections, and probably through next spring, and then drops off like crazy drop off, like down to like 5,000 or something on the Dow, and like just massive drop off. But they're going to take it up first. I'm kind of in that camp also. Because I've had people that have told me things that have turned out to be 100% spot on, and then there's other times when it's disinformation, and apparently there's disinformation on purpose. I mean, for a reason. But anyway, Lindsey Williams, Pastor Lindsey Williams, if you look up that guy, he was saying that they're going to take it higher. It's going to be a little crash, and then they're going to take it beyond your I mean, just is going to go crazy. Okay, so I don't think this Trump, like we had the Obama bubble, and it's a bubble. And then now we had the Trump bubble because they put a bubble on top of a bubble and they're just dumping money, pushing money into the market. Trillions. You're being robbed of trillions of dollars. $1 trillion a night every time in the repo market. The banks, so they're just stuffing money, giving the banks money. They don't have to pay that shit back, right? Then they give us a little tiny, right? And I'm not even the us thing because I can't vote and I don't pay tax and I'm not going to get a stimulus check by any. There's no fucking way I'm getting a stimulus check. But anyway, the idea is that, and if I got one, I wouldn't cash it anyway. But the idea is they're giving you $2 trillion, and they've been giving away $1 trillion. They gave away $1 trillion on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and tonight they'll do it again in the morning. So that's already $4 trillion, and they were probably doing it for 5 days before. So I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars have been robbed. Where do they get the money from? Supposedly, the quote unquote taxpayer, right? So anyway, they were going to give you back. And see, this is how it worked. Let's say you were underemployed and you only paid $900 in taxes, $300 a month so far through March. Okay, and it's about to be April. But let's just say for those, right, January, February, March, you only paid $900 in taxes. Well, if you take a $1,200 stimulus check, you're going to owe $300. You're going to owe the difference, kids. And those of you that, a lot of you guys make good money and you've had, already you've had probably like $5,000 withheld, right? Ooh, so they're going to give you back $1,200, right? And then the next month they're going to give you back another. So they're going to give you about half your money back. Some of you paid a whole hell of a lot more than that in the first, right? And you don't even fucking qualify. If you're $75,000 or more, you got to pay it all back if you take the check. It's just awesome. It's fucking awesome. Anyway, so I mean, this is genius beyond genius. And these guys have just been stomping your civil liberties because that's all they are, civil liberties. These are not inalienable rights. These are civil liberties that can be taken away, obviously. They can tell you, right, that you got to stay in the house. And if you're out, they can ticket you or, bring you into court and extract even more wealth from you. It's just painful. Like you have no right to travel. You have, like in Hawaii, you can't get on a plane and go to the mainland if you want to. You can't leave. You can't. You're stuck. You're quarantined in the state. This state is, for all intents and purposes, quarantined. Because I can't. Right now, like I said, when SARS was on, there were super cheap flights and super cheap deals in Asia, and a bunch of us went to Asia to go fool around. Because it was cheap, and none of us got sick. How crazy. Can't do that now. Can't get on a plane. Our airport is basically closed. All right, so they've taken over your ports. They have taken, right, and that was the thing, take over your ports. So right to travel curtailed. Freedom of speech. I can't, well, they didn't delete my video, I'll give them that, but they have made it so that they deleted that other guy's video, Patrick Devine, multiple. Every single one of those videos I watched at least 3, 4, 5 times and took copious notes. Oops, not that, but copious, and I mean copious amounts of notes. Look at the pages and pages and pages of notes out of his stuff. I mean, amazing information in there, right down to the forms you needed. So I'm going to try and get in touch with the people that uploaded them in the first place and get them to upload them to BitChute, because that's information. There's information in there that you should know. And like I said, write down on the forms. I have figured out there was, if you have watched some of my older videos, a guy that figured out that you got bonds. And he was trying to use some methodology to, and they were getting in trouble and going to jail because, like I said, if you're the trustee and you try to tap the beneficiary's accounts, you're going to get in big trouble. That's breach of trust. And it doesn't matter if your name's on the fucking account or not. They ain't your bonds until such time as you claim them. You've filled out some paperwork and done some other stuff ahead of time, and then you can claim your bonds. So anyway, in there, it tells you how to do it. And I think that was one of the videos that got taken down. What forms you need, and who to call and who to talk to, and so forth, because there are government agents that are there to help you if you're like, I want to redeem my bonds, right? I've got these bonds and so on and so forth. Okay, well, what forms do I have to do, and do I have to, do I have to be a certain status, and blah blah. Yes, and yes. And so you ask them, well, how do I go about doing this lawfully and legally, right? What's the procedure? They don't have to tell you. But if you ask nicely and you understand how to play tung fu with them and work your way up the ladder, because the first guy that answers the phone probably isn't going to have the information you need. You're going to need to talk because they're not allowed. So they're going to have to talk to a supervisor. There's a thing in that book that talks about asking you shall receive. So if you don't ask, you won't get an answer. And if you take no for an answer, because it's like, okay, can you give your supervisor permission to do it, because they don't have the authority to do so, but their supervisor does. These are, like I said, certain procedures. So, and at other times, you just want to go up as high on the ladder as you can when you are calling these various agencies to get certain paperwork and certain things done, because it's a vast conspiracy, and the cogs in the wheel don't always. I mean, the guys at the post office have no clue how powerful they are and what position they're in. They're just clerks, and they just do what they're told. Same thing with most of the people in the courts. Have no idea what the heck what's going on there. Some of the judges are also clueless, the newer, younger judges. But as they get in there and further in and so on, and they rise up in the ranks, they find out because they bring them in a little bit at a time, and it's the love of money. It's not the money; it's the love of money that causes these people problems. Anyhow, the idea is that we're in for some interesting times. I'm thinking from what I've pieced together and from what I've heard and through the grapevine and then YouTube videos and others that have confirmed it, the date that keeps coming up is 4/13. Should be interesting. That whole weekend, that's Easter weekend, and understand, and if you look at like Greg Hunter and other ones, it's the end of the cycle and it ends in Easter and at Passover exactly, and Passover is like the 7th. That date's going to come up April 7th. And then let's see here, Good Friday is the 10th, and then the 4/11, and then Easter Sunday is the 12th, and then the next Monday is 4/13, 4/13/2020. And I can do just a little bit of 4/13. I've done this before. 2020. 4. 1 and 3 is 4. 2 and 2 is 4. Jackpot. 4. Apparently something happens. What happens? I don't know. But that should be. It should be interesting times, because, like I said, here's one theory. It's just a theory. I don't subscribe to it, but I mean, intelligence is being able to entertain a thought that you don't necessarily agree with. But people in Italy are getting a little testy, apparently, and they're just getting back to civil unrest, because they realize that so few people have died of this virus, and yet they're being bankrupted and stuck indoors, and their businesses are failing, and they're getting pissed. And they were already protesting before this, by the way. We didn't hear about this, but they were. Okay, so then they give them information about their priests being pedophiles, and okay. They're already testy. They're already pissed. And that's the alliance just throwing a match on a tinderbox. Same thing in the United States. Same thing in other countries, right? And particularly here in the United States, where everybody's got a gun, and they find out, Weinstein and Epstein. You got to keep the name straight, right? Weinstein on the West Coast, Epstein on the East Coast. W-E. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But anyway, the idea is that these two pedophiles were very well connected to all manner. If you take a look on the West Coast and the East Coast, who these people were connected to, it's everybody you know. It's the who's who. And I have a little list of people that were on the travel, the flight logs going to Epstein's Island, and it's a who's who. I mean, Bill Murray's on that. Makes me sad. Oprah's on. I mean, yeah, just fucking all kind of newscasters are on that. All kind of politicians are on that. And oddly enough, out of that list, like 16 of the people on that list all have coronavirus, and more coming. Tom Hanks is on that list. Of course, Clinton is on that list. Hillary's on that list. I mean, the list. Podesta's on that. I mean, the list is long and disgusting. These people are horrifying individuals. And when that is released to the public beyond a shadow of a doubt, and they're already pissed off about being quarantined, they don't have to do anything. We're armed, right? All you got to do is hunker down and sit back and watch, because I guarantee you, the ones that were most deceived when they find out they were deceived, and I'm just saying this is a theory. I'm not saying this is how it's going to go. But if this is, I understand the concept is that they're just going to let the minions eat their own. Yay! That's my side. That's actually. I have no issue with this. None. I think the sheepy sheep are too sheepy to do that, though. And what I think is they're just going to mass arrest, round up, right? Because what they're going to do is round up those that they have the indictments for, and then there'll still be tons of people that were minions and were in part of it, and that were involved and or knew about it and didn't say anything. I'm talking about law enforcement, and or just look the other way when they were doing this. Okay, and those guys are still going to be left behind, and they'll be part of society, and oh well. But only the quote unquote higher level players are the ones that are going to be shipped off. Understand that this right here, and we're talking about the on the ships that have pulled into. That doesn't mean what you think it means. That's the Red Cross. And if you look at that Red Cross, it's exact. This is a bad Red Cross, but the dimensions are exact. As above, so below. Mercy is not coming to LA. Because it's the mirror world. It's the everything is happening in a pool upside down. These are shadows. We live in the world of Babylon is shadow. So yeah, the shadows are about to be brought into the light, and it's going to be interesting. Dark to light, like I said, the shadows. You don't see that? My shadow isn't doing anything without me moving my hand, right? That just doesn't. There's no. Well, you can't hardly see a shadow there. But the shadow doesn't move me. I move the shadow. Okay. They got you thinking you're your shadow. If you understand how the system of holy crap, I'm sure you didn't hear that, but that was interesting. Anyway, the system of shadow, the system of all caps names and your straw man, and that whole the parable of Wizard of Oz, the parable of Lord of the Rings, the parable of oh my goodness, the Pirates' Tales, the parable of vampires. We live in the world of shadow. We are the zombies. we are the zombies. They are not the zombies. And what it is the zombies, the mindless dweebs that don't understand how this system works, and the fact that they're basically lost at sea, dead. They think that's crazy talk. The fact that you have been pledged with your birth certificate to the bankers, and that you are wholly owned chattel, the full faith and credit of the nation state, the United States, if you're a U.S. person. That's crazy talk to them. But I'm sorry, that's the case. The first thing I said before is that if you want to get set free from this nonsense, the first thing you have to do is admit you're a slave. And then you need to remedy the fact that you're a slave. There is paperwork to be done. Simple as that. They have set up trust. They've done all kinds of stuff in your name without your understanding or knowledge, without full disclosure, naughty, fraudulently. Ooh, it was fraud. It was fraud. It was fraud. It was fraud. And there's no statute of limitation on fraud. And once you find out about the fraud, well, fix the fraud, fix the remedy. It's you. And see, this is the other thing that's a pisser about it is they defrauded you, and you still have work to do because they defrauded you. So there's paperwork to be done, even though you didn't create this mess, but you unwittingly were duped into signing a bunch of things that said you were a U.S. person, and there's all kind of documents that you got to correct, and then you got to collapse those and move back into the private side, and then you have an allegiance that can set in the world of commerce. If you want to do commerce in that world, you can have a all caps name that you control, that has its own accounts and has its own numbers and so forth associated to it that you generated, not that were just given to you like at birth when you applied for them, right? So again, you're going to have to apply for different numbers, and you're going to collapse the other stuff. Now here's the thing, because it's all fraudulently created, all those bonds and all that other stuff, fraudulent, fraud. So, but see, don't be foolish and get rid of your accounts before you pull the money out, because there is debit or credit in there, depending on what. But anyway, so you want to take that out. That's the Pirates of the Caribbean story. Pull it out and give it to the de jure treasury, and then you'll have a way to access the money that you've put in there once you become a bona fide person that can, man or woman that can access those accounts. But there's paperwork to be done. You don't just go over there and say, "Hey, give me a card." I want to be able to access the treasury. Well, no, you have to. They want you to see, and this is the other thing. They want you to be able to jump through all the hoops, and you have to learn some law and so forth. So in other words, you can't be completely ignorant. You got to, like, if you want to be ignorant and free, you want what has never been and never will be. So you got to educate yourself on the law a little bit. You got to educate yourself on some of those forms. You got to know some terms. You got to understand the signatures and seals, and maybe some flag law would be good. You got to become like how our founding fathers were, which were educated men. Right? Dumbasses did not come up with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and a few other of the the government that they set up in this country. They were learned men. They understood language. They understood money. They understood commerce. They understood many things when they developed this country and declared their independence from the banking, because that's all it is. Those are banking constitutions. Those are they look like constitutions, but because again, they were all Masons, and so to us, it's our Constitution and so forth. To them, it's banking charter. Simple as that. So the idea is what? So the idea is that, like the Bible and like many other documents that they wrote, you can read it two ways. You can read it like it's the de jure government and this and that giving you the civil liberties, or you can read it like the banking charter that it is. So the idea is that intelligence in that world, any word can mean multiple things. So if you read all the words one way, it means one thing. If you read all the words another way, with a different definition, it means a different thing. So your Constitution might not be what you think it is. That Bible might not be what you think it is. Just saying. There might be some code there. There might be some other stuff. And I came across, and I closed the window now, and I can't remember what it is, but there's one section of code that's written in code. It's awesome. It talks about vessels and collapsing and all this other stuff. And they ain't talking about boats. You are the vessel that they're talking about. And I was amazed to see this. I should pull that up and read it. But I cut and pasted that and everything, because I was like, holy crap, this is written in code. And it's USC 28, I believe it is. And I should know this code section and it won't come. But maybe I'll put a link down below and read that thing. It sounds like it's talking about boats and stuff. But it's not talking about boats and stuff. Anyway, all right, I've gone on long enough, but we have interesting times coming up. I'm sorry that I have somehow managed to gain the attention of others. So like I said, I can't make playlists anymore. So no more playlists for me. Go to my playlist and they're all being decimated and the videos are being taken out of them. And go check out, like I said, just go to my channel. You're on it now. So go punch those playlists and watch the videos that are there before those get taken down. And I'll put a couple links below for videos. But see, I'm loath to do it now because now I know I've been tagged and it's not just algorithm, it's actual human, has been assigned apparently because. But like I said, they had to go in and dink with my channel or dink with my controls so that I can't add playlists. Everything else works, but I can't make a playlist. I can't add a video to playlist. I can't hit save. I can't, the only thing I can do is favorite it, but I can't, in fact, I don't think I can do that. So I can't make playlists anymore. That didn't just happen I'm pretty confident that didn't happen with AI I mean, there was an actual person that had to go in there and dink with the code. I could be wrong and just being paranoid, but at the same time, and then all the videos that I was talking about for Patrick Devine, gone. I mean, look at the Patrick Devine playlist. It's like almost all the videos have been taken out of it. And I noticed that the ones that are still left have errors. See, because there was a progression with Patrick Devine. He went from, I mean, he just bumbled his way through it until he figured it out. So some of the earlier stuff doesn't apply. And of course, that stuff's still there. And some of it, but see, the reason why it's good to know that because you see the progression, you see how they figured out. Okay, well now we got to do this, and then you got to do that. Oh, this that Social Security number, it's 3 things. It's not just one thing. And the Sedicate Trust. I mean, the idea is that they, you need an EIN, you need an estate number, you need a 98 series number, you got to get a 47. You got to. I mean, there's all kind of. He talks about all these different things. Like I said, huge amount of notes there. And it turns out there's a couple of places that sort of kind of took over for him, and they have been infiltrated. Trust me, because I see them trying to say blind justice, right? They don't tell you the truth about justice. Like I said, that one where they tell you 12 US 411, no, USC. That is that's shorthand for our title, 50 titles, and that's what it stands for. Right, United States Code. So you can't just put US. It's US Code, right? USC. Same thing when I found out about those 3-cent stamps. If you look at it, there's some guys that tell you how to do it wrong. But there is a way. Ooh, I think I sent all my envelopes. So I can't show you. I've done it before in all my other videos, though, so you should be fine. Yeah, I think I sent those off. But anyway, what you put in the corner, yeah, they put the wrong stuff there on purpose. So your letter will get kicked back and you'll think, oh, this doesn't work. That was just something, right? But if you do it right, no, I have letters that have 3-cent stamps on them that absolutely came through the mail, no problem. But that's what I mean, that there are agent provocateurs. They set pits and traps for you, hoping that you will fall into them. So you have to be wary. And this is the thing, you got to figure out what's what and so on. So all I say is, because I'll be watching videos or I'll be taking notes or I'll be reading stuff and stuff will contradict. Okay, so if it's written in the codes, that's what rules. Simple as that. I don't give a fuck what anybody says in a video or whatever. If the code says differently or if they're interpreting the code incorrectly, you see, that's what I mean. You got to know what the words mean. So if you know what the words mean, you can interpret for yourself. And if you understand contracts, you can understand some of the things that these. Okay, so get Contracts for Dummies and read that because it's contract law. It's contract law. It's contract law. That Bible, it's contract law. So what you need to understand is the same fucking thing that was going on back then when the Christ Jesus was walking around is the same story. And see, they're parables, damn it. But anyway, is the same, and instructions written in code is the same bullshit system we have now that is fucking your friends and family. And you can't tell them because they'll call you a conspiracy theorist and they've been trained to say conspiracy theorist and then feel good about themselves instead of actually learning information and reading the law and learning language and figuring out, this is a rather enlightening book, but look how big, but this is the styles manual for any English speaking nation, right? This is the manual that they use. And what they're doing is grammar fair, word fair, and law fair. And so once you start realizing that they're fucking with you on almost all their paperwork, and you can explain and know how they're fucking you with their paperwork, then you can get fraudulent conveyance of language, and then you can get fraudulent concealment, and then you can get failure to disclose and so forth. But if you don't understand it and you can't explain it, whose problem is that? I mean, whose fault is that? Is that their fault or your fault? So anyway, the idea is that yeah, we're headed for some very interesting times. The fact that things are changing bigly does not preclude you from doing the things that Patrick Devine was talking about, and moving yourself from U.S. person to federal citizen, as it were, or state citizen. Right? You're becoming part of the United States of America. That's the idea. You're in one of the several states of the United States of America, not just the U.S., right? You're not a U.S. person. And notice how U.S. person is not USA person. It's just U.S. person. And then you'll also notice a lot of times that the United States is in all caps, because it's the corporation they're talking about. They're not talking about the country that you think you're a part of. They're talking about a corporation that is ruling over you without probably your consent or knowledge. For the most part, you just go along with the crowd, and that's how they kill you. Yeah, they just pay a bond, right? I mean, for the most part, sometimes they might have to do some jail time, but overall, if one of those guys kills one of the people that are already dead, one of the slaves, there's just a bond to pay, right? And that's it. So they pay some money and they're good. And even then, they don't even pay the money. They just offset, because there is no fucking money. So it's not like they're taking gold or silver to pay for that death or that injury or that harm. They're just offsetting it using paperwork. I mean, it's fucking genius. And at the same time, it should piss you off. And you want to get out of the position where they can do that to you, because you, if that's, again, Pirates of the Caribbean, you're not dead. You're not lost at sea. You're a living man or woman. And see, they try to get you to say person, right? They want you to say person, because that's a whole other thing. That's right. We're talking man and woman versus person. The man wins. But the idea is that you need to claim and let them know that you are a living person and that you're not dead and lost at sea. And thank you very much. I'll fucking take my birthright and my these various trusts and so treasures, and I'm going to bring them back and put them in the de jure treasury of the United States, right? The department, right? Not the Department of the Treasury, but the Treasury Department. There's a difference between the Department of the Treasury, that's the corporation, and the Treasury Department, that's the United States of America. Okay, I'm done. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm amazed that little old me got on the radar. But apparently I got on the radar. Don't give a fuck, right? I truly don't give a fuck. I'm not scared. I'm not, dude, I'm at this age, I am more than ready to go home. So the worst they can do to me, they don't scare me with their worst that you can do to me. So, and if I don't break the law, and if I don't fall into one of their pits or traps, there's not a whole lot they can do other than let me walk off the fucking plantation, right? And I will try and bring as many of you with as possible for as long as I can. But at some point, you walk off the plantation, and I can only wave, and I won't even be able to speak to you anymore. But anyway, and it's coming. It's coming. My paperwork's I'm getting more and more understanding on how to fill the paper. Because like I said, such a fucking ignorant slave. I don't know what paperwork to file and who to send it to. But I'm starting to figure it out slowly but surely. Anyway, and you know, how to claim things and how to, right? And again, read Contract Law for Dummies and start understanding that there are forms. There are actual forms, right? It's not just free form affidavits where you got to write it. I mean, there's forms that you can fucking fill out as part of these process. Procedure. Right? You got to know what forms to fill out and who to send them to, so that you can get out of the bondage that you're in, because you are in bondage. And that book tells you all about how to get out of bondage. And then there are other instruction manuals and so forth that you can read that will help you get out of bondage. And there are other guys that have gone before you that hopefully you might run into or be able to get in contact with, so that you can have a mentor or have somebody that you can at least follow in their footsteps, and they can show you the paperwork, and they can show you the things that they've done and who they send it to and how to do it and why you're doing it, right? So because at some point you're going to walk down this path, and the men in black really are going to come say hi. And you better be able to fucking stand in your square when they come say hi. Just saying. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Be of good cheer. Everything's good. E pluribus uno. E pluribus unum. And I'll talk to you soon.